And hello, we are live. Hello and happy new year for 2026. Welcome
Yes,
back
welcome.
to the Business Octopus. How are you going, Amanda?
Fabulous. And yourself, Avon, how was that weird period between Christmas and New Year's that everyone doesn't know what day it is or what planet they're on? How'd that go for you?
Well, that's a very accurate description. Yes, I'm like I mentioned to you before. I sleep a lot. There's some people are calling, some people are leaving emails. I still have to run payroll. There's all these little
Yes.
things that just have to keep going. And but everybody wants the work-life balance, which isn't always true, and certainly not if you're running a business. There's things that keep you up at night. There's things to do, not at night. Like I think we're past like that early stressful fingernail biting stage, but it's there's still always something to do.
Always.
There's-
Always.
yeah,
No
and the brain
excuses. You cannot be bored as a business owner. It's not a thing.
no, and the brain doesn't stop, and that's where I think that's what today's topic sort of came from, was that I was having a conversation before the break. Everybody talks about New Year's resolutions. Did you have a New Year's resolution, by the way?
I don't do them, hey. I just
No,
don't
mine
do
a
them.
few years ago was no more New Year's resolutions. And if you want to do something, just do it. Don't
Just
wait
do it.
the
Yeah.
end of the year to go, at this time I'm going to do that thing. No, now, always now.
Always
So,
now.
so yeah, I was speaking to someone before the break, and they're like, I recommended they listen to a podcast, and they're like, it's 3 hours. Why would I listen to this podcast? And I thought, well, that's a little bit, ill sort of or short-sighted. Is that
Yeah.
I've already recommended something that, and I'm not the boss of recommending stuff, but like it's already a boiled down version of a much larger, deeper piece of information. And they're like, oh, can you just give me the summary? Can you give me the dot points? But therein lies the problem, is that everybody wants the summary. And now with ChatGPT, we've got the summary of the summary. And with all these short little snippet videos, everybody expects everything within 30 seconds to 3 minutes or whatever. And even if 3 minutes, they're fast forwarding, they're bored. So we have this culture of not learning something truly, not learning something properly. And that's the problem we need to address today.
Absolutely, absolutely. We see it all the time, don't we, Avon? That's a perfect example. Someone didn't want to sit through 3 hours at the end of the day. And can you give us some context as to what, like, if they spent the 3 hours, what did you get from that 3 hours? What did you take away from it?
Yeah, 100%. So it's like the podcast is called Acquired. It's pretty well known in the business world, but they're very well known for having very long episodes. And so it's not unusual for an episode to be 3.5 to 4.5 hours long, and in some cases, part A and a part B. For example, the episode I listened to on the drive down to our holiday location, which was an hour and a half each way, so I had to break it up into 2 lots, but it was a 3-hour podcast, and it was on the story of Coca-Cola. And there's quite a lot in that, like right back from the history. And yes, it used to have cocaine in it. And going back through, that was widely accepted at the time. It wasn't enough to get high. You probably had to have about 20 drinks before you could have the same buzz as doing a line. But the point of the story is, like, what did the product had to do to evolve in the market? How did it actually gain market traction? How was its, cost structure in order to be able to be so successful? How did they ride the market waves to go global in such a fast, period of years? And yes, we're talking about 100-year business, more than, but there were some very significant shifts that made it so big, so fast. And I know that sounds so fast being 100 years, but it is in absolutely every country, on every corner store. They've got a sign on every shop. Like, that takes time to do. And the
100%.
road to get there, for the longest time, they had no competitors, and they worked very hard on having no competitors. So there's a lot of lessons in that. And I would highly recommend anybody listening to this now. Yes, we boil things down to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, but you should spend the time and listen to some of these podcasts, because there's some very deep gold in there. Now, my rant will finish in a second, but the point is that the people that put this podcast together spend about 3 months putting together one podcast. That is academic level research, They are venture capitalists. They are, in the financial markets. They study, they research, they do interviews, they meet with people, they get introductions and hear conversations with people that the average person doesn't get. And they boil it down into 3 hours. So there's a lot of information in that. So don't come at me with, oh, can you just give it to me in some dot points? I find that absolutely pathetic. So, Amanda, you are in this field. This is your specialization. My rant is over. Go.
I'm just going to piggyback off your rant, if that's okay, just to dig a bit deeper. So say I said to you, Avon, can you give me the dot points? If you're asking someone for the cliff notes, if you like, or the short version, if you're using that information to decide if you'd like to go and deep dive into it, if you think it will be of benefit to you, absolutely. If you're just using it to shortcut or circumvent the process of actually learning intimately how Coke became this, like, I'm not, honestly, haven't looked into their origin story, so adding that to my list. Yeah. I know that, if you think about the most recognized brands in the world, they're top 3, I'm guessing, right? I'm thinking McDonald's, Nike, and Coke are the top 3. That would be my guess. But as a business owner, you should probably understand how those global brands have got from nothing to where they are today. Because as Avon alluded to, or mentioned, I should say, we're talking about how do I deal with competition? How do I become recognized, even if it's just in my own pond of ideal clients? There's things that you can take away from that. So, definitely take the deep dive. And just to summarize what's that? Sorry.
The battle scars that you need to hear.
Absolutely. Learn from other people's failures. 100%. Definitely. Yes.
I think not only from the battle scar component, but sometimes it's a different language or a different jargon or something else. Sometimes if I want to understand a topic, or I listen ahead for a problem that I think is coming up, and I will look for a podcast or some kind of information that delves into that space. And just hearing other people's stories and their experiences and what was more important, because if ChatGPT is going to summarize it down into 10 dot points, someone who's been there and done that, who's felt the sting and the pain of frustration and loss, is going to say, well, points 2, 3, and 5 are going to be are so important, and all the others are just fluff. The computer can't tell you the feelings that go along behind that, because you are a beast that has feelings, that has a pulse, that thinks, that feels, that needs to work. Hello, Bridgie Coffee, 7697. Nice to have you on. All right. So, like we were saying, I think there is, so much more depth that needs to be conveyed, rather than just the whole, I think, dot point A, B, and C, like a listicle. That's all ChatGPT can do, is give you a listicle. How many of those have you read and gone, wow, that's the same as the 500 others that I've read, but I still don't feel like I've learned anything?
And therein lies the problem, because the thing about learning is that Avon, I feel like you would better describe this than me. When you know how to do something, when you've learnt how a skill or a tactic or a thing that you can go and apply, you're able to actually pick it up and do it. When we give you this listicle or this quick reference guide or whatever you want to call it, if we've given you that and you go and try to apply it, say we've taught you how to play golf, for example. I know I'm terrible at golf, and I've got this cheat sheet. There's no way I'm going to be able to play a great round of golf with a cheat sheet, right? We need to go deeper. We need to understand at a deeper level how to get things done and how to get them done effectively and efficiently, so that we get the result that we want. And that comes from learning the skill intimately and then going and applying it. And we were talking about this earlier offline. There's a Facebook ads coach that we follow called Laurel Portier. She's great, by the way. She talks about this concept of engaging the field. Hey, Evan, engaging the field. So learn the thing, and a great way to further learn it is to go and apply it. So go and do the thing. So learn the thing, go and do the thing, then give yourself feedback on the outcome that you got. So round of golf. Okay, so I've had some golf lessons. I'm going to go play a round of golf. Then I'm going to look at my results. So what are we talking? Pars and stuff. See, I don't know much about golf clearly, but you would look at your score, you would look at your performance, and you would go, okay, so what can I do differently based on what I've learned to get a better result next round of golf that I play? And it might be maybe Avon is better at playing golf than me, and he can give me some pointers. So I'll go and take that information, I'll go and apply it. But if I've just started with that quick reference guide or that listicle, there's no way on earth that I'm going to go and play and constantly improve my round of golf.
Well, you say the difference between tacit and explicit learning. So explicit is reading it written down, and tacit is the textbook terms, is actually doing it and being able to know what it feels like. And if you've got a business, one simple example is turning a key in a lock. Now, that's a very simple thing for you and I, because we've done it so many thousand times. But if you watch a child do it, they don't understand the fine muscle movements. They don't understand that it's more of a rotational than a pushing. And you have to talk them through it. And you have to say, look, don't fold it this way because it's going to snap. If you don't, push in because it's, you're fighting the lock, you need to turn it. And, there's a lot of fine muscle movements that happen within that. You can't turn it on an angle. You have to keep it on the same plane as the lock. Little things like that. When you're talking to a child for the first time to explain something, imagine that as your learning self. You are a child approaching a problem for the first time. It could be as simple as turning a key in a lock, or it could be something like raising capital in your company, or doing some very complex marketing thing, or trying to, how many entrepreneurs have made a global company? If you've done it before, great. If you're like Sam Altman and you've built, several things, or Elon Musk and you made PayPal, and then you made Tesla and the Boring Company and all these other things, great, you've got the experience. But for most founders, it's your first time, and you've never gone and built a global brand. You've never gone and hired 50 staff, or once you've hired 50 staff, you've never got an investor that you now have to deal with as a stakeholder. You've never gone and done fired 20 people in one go. Like, there's a lot of firsts. So listen for someone else's experience. It's going to help immensely. But spend 100%. The time. Yeah.
That's it. Spend the time. And, just coming back to what you were saying, do you think, when Elon Musk first decided to start Tesla, he didn't go and watch, not that TikTok was around then, but he didn't go and watch a bunch of 30-second TikToks and decide, this is how I'm going to make this happen. No. He went and spoke to the right people, got the right information, and learned intimately how someone approaches this type of venture and how to be successful at it. Yeah, go for it.
That's literally all he does. He spends his time going from workshop to work team to go, tell me everything about this problem in the finest detail, so that him can understand the bigger decisions. Like, almost no big market company CEO does that. Right? Yes, they come in, they have their entourage, they look around and go, oh yes, the troops are working, good job. And then they go back to their ivory tower. But what they miss is that so-and-so on the floor is stuck at this point because this other person's not doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing, or maybe there's a gap in communication, or there's a gap in the process, or they're missing a part that nobody thought of, that all of a sudden, wow, here's this amazing, connected dots. But if you don't know the detail, you're not going to fix it. You're just going to sit there and you're going to stew, and you're going to get really frustrated and not understand why things are not working around you, because you're not in there, you're not learning, you're not doing things the hard way. Those are the right things to do the hard way. Don't waste time learning dumb things, trying to summarize everything down to a dot point, because that's just not how it works.
100%. And off the back of that, you might be thinking, well, I'm just a business owner here. But how does this, when I say it's not just a business owner, maybe you're a solo operator, or maybe it's you and a couple of teamies. how this applies to you, don't outsource something until you understand how it works yourself.
Yes.
Now, would you agree or disagree? You agree with that, Avon?
You need to do enough dumb, slow process to go, this is worth handing off or automating. I would never go and automate something either without having done it 100 times first. You need the volume to go, here's what's actually important, because sometimes you can automate a really crap process and then do a stupid thing 1,000 times on autopilot instead of doing something really well finessed. And going deeper on the problem just really helps you to understand what it is that's going to effectively fix it.
That's it. And if you don't understand how something works, a system or a process works in your business, and you've handed it off, like when there are problems, say your marketing suddenly stops working, for example, like you got it down to a fine art, you got it finely tuned, you handed it off, all is well for 6 months, suddenly tap turns off. If you didn't understand how it was set up in the first place, how can you hope to diagnose it? You're relying on other people that don't understand your client, don't understand your customer, your business as well as you do. So it's really important that you understand those systems and processes.
And, I like to think of a comment, which is too busy treating burns to put out the fire. So, are you looking at the right problem? Are you spending time doing something, or have you had enough time to zoom out? And, sometimes listening to other people's perspectives about their own business helps you take a different perspective of yours. So that zoom out time, that refocus allows you to kind of reimagine and reconsider what the problem actually is, and then address that instead of all the other issues.
Exactly. Yes. Because you can waste so much time fixing things that aren't actually broken because you don't know where the actual issue is. 100%.
Well, I think that pretty much covers a fair bit for today. I think if anyone has any questions, they should definitely be checking out the Relevate community. And if you jump in, if you let us know what you're thinking about, what your problems are, where you're stuck, then we can go into a little bit more depth and detail and add our experiences and help you, go into that depth and detail that is going to help solve that problem, rather than just bouncing off the surface on 1,000 TikTok videos, Instagram snippets, and ChatGPT prompts that are not really going to give you the finer detail of why, the pain, the sting of defeat, and an experience that will help you solve a problem properly, rather than just going through the motions. All right. Anything else that you want to add?
No, nailed it. Crushed it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, you stay close.